Now, I know you want to skip right to the end to see who won, but where's the fun in that? Come with me on this journey as we figure out which of these 9 flagship phones has the best and the worst battery. And here we go, timer has started. So on the table in front of me here, I've got the latest Pixel 9 Pro XL, I've got the new OnePlus 13, as well as the Vivo X200 Pro, iPhone 16 Pro Max, Oppo X8 Pro, Honor Magic 7 Pro, the new Galaxy S25 Ultra, as well as the last gen S24 Ultra, because I'm kind of curious to see how much of an improvement the battery is, despite the fact that the battery has stayed the same, and also the previous Xiaomi 14 Ultra, because at the time of recording, that is still their latest phone. I believe we will have a 15 Ultra imminently. So even though these videos take me an absolute age to make, I'm probably gonna have to make another one next month with potentially an X200 Ultra from Vivo, maybe an X8 Ultra from Oppo, and also of course the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. So there are even newer flagship phones right around the corner, and I'll come back. So make sure you have hit that subscribe button. Now, if you've seen one of these battery tests before, you know the drill. I'm setting the phones to 150 nits of brightness, all with the latest update. They all have 100% battery health. That is very important. None of these have been used for more than a couple of weeks. I have to regularly buy new phones. I'm also running just on Wi-Fi for this test, all background apps closed, and while of course your mileage will vary, hopefully this gives you a bit of an indication how they perform relative to each other. And let's just kick off with a Geekbench 6 test, just to get an idea of how they perform, because we've actually got 5 different chips on test here. I know a couple of these phones can also get higher scores if you put them in their dedicated high performance modes, but I'm leaving everything as default here, and you can see the Pixel is way behind, followed by the 8 Gen 3 chip in the Xiaomi and S24 Ultra. So yeah, on this test, we've got 2 phones with the MediaTek Dimensity 9400. We've got 3 or 4 phones, is it, with the new Snapdragon 8 Elite, a couple with the previous Gen 8 Gen 3, Apple's A18 Pro in the iPhone, obviously, and also Google's Tensor G4 in the Pixel. Quite a lot of variety here in terms of the processor used, the screen size, and also the battery size. What we've seen with some of the latest flagships is a big boost in battery capacity, rocking massive 6,000 mAh batteries, whereas on the other side, with the S25 Ultra, absolutely no change. Same 5,000 mAh capacity as the previous gen. And to make things even more complicated, yay, Honor have 2 different versions of the Magic 7 Pro. In the UK and Europe, the one I have here, we actually have a much smaller battery size, around 5270, whereas the global and Chinese variant has a massive 5850. That is a big difference. And actually the one we have here is smaller, the battery is smaller than the previous Magic 6 Pro. So for this test, we're going to go through Instagram and TikTok. We're going to play Temple Run 2, which isn't particularly demanding, as well as the much more demanding War Thunder, and also a whole bunch of YouTube. And I'm going to cycle through them every sort of 15 to 30 minutes, which, as you can imagine, these videos are an absolute pain in the ass to make. So I hope this is useful to you. But straight away, I know there's a couple of things you're shouting through the screen at me. Number 1, why aren't you using SIM cards? Well, the answer to that is the Xiaomi 14 Ultra in the UK does not support eSIMs, and also it introduces just too many variables, because actually where I live, where my studio is, my signal is terrible. I'll try and figure out something for next time, but I just felt like it was going to be a huge drain on the battery as they constantly tried to get a connection and then, well, kept failing. So we've moved that variable, kept it Wi-Fi only. And secondly, yes, there are of course many more phones that I haven't included in this test, like the ROG Phone 9, the iQOO, Sony phones, but I've got 9 phones on test here, which is a pretty good amount. Although feel free to drop a comment of which phone you'd like me to include next time. Have a look at this. It's my fancy new thermal imaging camera, which I'm just really excited to play with. And you can see how the phones are in terms of the external temperature from the screen in terms of this heat map. And this is after about 15 minutes of playing Temple Run. And it seems the Pixel is the hottest, the iPhone is the coolest, and interestingly, the S25 Ultra with its larger vapor chamber cooler is a touch cooler by like 1 degree than the S24 Ultra. So that is nice to see a bit of an upgrade there. Now, as usual with my battery test videos, I want to do an overnight standby test. See how much they drop overnight, because I think that's interesting to know, and it also lets me have a bit of a break and, you know, go to sleep. Cue the music. And then through the miracle of editing, we are back. Good morning. And we're looking at a drop of between 4 and 6% across the range of these 9 phones there, which isn't too bad for a 12-hour overnight standby test. Not too bad at all, but you can see some pretty clear patterns emerging here. On the right, the Xiaomi down to 20, the Vivo still at 53. I think we might know who's going to win this one. But then at the 8-hour 15 mark, the Xiaomi kicks the bucket. Well, it technically goes into this hibernation mode. A few of the phones offer that, but for the purpose of this test, while that will go on for longer and you can use it for emergency purposes and messages, I'm going to call it dead at that point. So the Xiaomi has lost, closely followed by the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. That lasted a little bit longer, but then about 20 minutes after the Pixel, the S24 Ultra is out of juice, leaving the S25 Ultra with about 6 percentage points remaining, which turns out is good for about another 40-45 minutes of use, which actually is a surprisingly big upgrade given that they have the exact same battery cell, and we've all given them a bit of grief for not increasing it to 55 or 6,000. But then just 3 minutes later, we lose the iPhone, the 16 Pro Max, which is actually a huge improvement over the previous gen phones, the 15 and the 14, and actually is about on par as we've seen with the new S25 Ultra, but still just takes the win there. 4 phones left, but not for long. Despite having the joint biggest battery on test, the OnePlus 13 goes out in 4th place at about 10 hours and 45. I'm a bit disappointed with that OnePlus. I thought it would last longer given the size of that battery. But literally, as the OnePlus is dying, the Honor goes into its hibernation mode like less than a minute later, so they're almost tied there, leaving us with just 2 phones, the Oppo and the Vivo. And I think it's pretty clear who's going to win at this point. If we jump ahead to 11 hours 24, so about 40 minutes later, we lose the X8 Pro, which has done a fantastic job, which of course means we have a winner, the Vivo, and it's still got 15% left in the tank. So in last place, the Xiaomi. Bit disappointing there, but the good news is there's a new one right around the corner with a new chip and hopefully some other improvements. So let's see how that performs next time. Then there's the Pixel, which continues to offer some of the worst performance and some of the worst battery life out of all the current flagship phones. Yes, it's getting better each year, but Google are still falling behind here. Then in 7th place, we have the S24 Ultra, followed by its successor, the S25 Ultra, which, as I say, lasted about 40 minutes longer. Not bad at all from Samsung, and it's about on par, just shy of the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which, as you guys know if you've used one, the battery life is incredible on that, and yet still it only gets 5th place in this test. Moving up to 4th, we've got the OnePlus 13, which has performed very well, but I thought maybe we'd do a little bit better given that battery size. On a Magic 7 Pro in 3rd place, and that's with the smaller battery size variant, so given how much bigger that Chinese version is, that could win, but unfortunately I don't have one to test. So in 2nd place, we've got the Oppo Find X8 Pro with its massive battery and the Dimensity 9400 chip. Is it a coincidence that both the 2nd place Oppo and the 1st place Vivo X200 Pro both use MediaTek chips and also have massive 6,000 mAh batteries, but so did the OnePlus 13. So I think MediaTek definitely deserves some credit for designing powerful and very efficient chips. Year after year, the ones with the MediaTek last longer. And breathe. I hope that was helpful. If you've got any feedback or anything you'd like me to change for my next test, leave a comment below and make sure you do hit that subscribe button because I'll have another battery test in just a few weeks with some flagship phones that I actually have in the studio, but I can't show you yet due to embargoes. Make sure you stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.